Hello, everyone. So today we're talking about the case of Joseph Smedley. If my voice sounds weird, this is the fifth video I am filming today, and I'm getting sick, so my voice might sound a little rough. And it's getting a little hard to talk, but this is the last one I have to film tonight, and I really want to power through it. So, like I said, we're talking about the case of Joseph Smedley. Joseph has been on my list to talk about for a really long time. I actually researched his case, had it pre-filmed, everything ready to go. And then you've probably heard me say in other videos, I accidentally deleted my pre-filmed videos, and I also ruined, in an accident, all of my research notes on several cases. I think I had like 10 cases ready to go. And that's part of the reason why I went so long without putting any videos up at the end of the last year. And he was actually meant to go up in November. And I finally re-researched the case, and I am telling you guys about Joseph because this one is weird. It is sad and it is weird. If you have not heard of this case, you're about to see what I am talking about. I know a few true crime YouTubers have talked about his case in the past. I believe Danielle Hallen did. I could be wrong, but I remember seeing his name floating around, and that's how I kind of knew of his case. And I've always wanted to tell you guys about it, so I'm so happy I finally get to. But this is already a really long intro, so let's just get into it. So in 2014, Joseph Smedley enrolled at Indiana University, Bloomington, and this was a fresh start for him. The latter part of his childhood and his teen years, they were stressful, and he was a child of divorce. His parents had divorced when he was in third grade, and his mom actually moved to St. Thomas. He lived with each of his parents, but he found it difficult to get along with either of them after the divorce. In 2012, he was 16 and he became legally emancipated, and then he moved in with a close friend while he was finishing high school. And the admission to IU Bloomington 2 years later, that was just a relief to his dad and his sister Vivian. College was good for him. He was given structure, he had friends, and he had independence. And he flourished at college. And he was still estranged from his dad, but his sister Vivian, she would always pass along the news of his success. And so his dad was proud of him, although they really didn't have contact. On September 21st, 2015, Vivian received a call, and it was Joseph's old landlord. She had co-signed a lease for her brother, and the landlord was calling to collect a $680 fee for ending the lease early. Joseph was planning to drop the check off with the landlord on September 28th. Vivian reminded her brother on September 27th to pay by noon the next day, and of course, he assured her that he would. And then when Vivian woke on September 28th, she had a strange text from her brother. And this text was saying, or he was saying in the text, that he was leaving the country in order to protect her. The message asked her not to call and said that he promised to be in touch as soon as he was settled. She assumed it was a prank, obviously. He didn't even have a passport, and she texted back a reminder to pay the landlord. Like, okay, you're not being serious, you know what I'm saying? And phone calls to Joseph went to voicemail, but she didn't worry until she found out from the landlord that her brother had never paid him. IU Bloomington police conducted a welfare check and found that Joseph hadn't attended classes that day, and he wasn't at his home. The rising panic was briefly quelled when police called Vivian, and they told her that Joseph was in jail, but that ended up actually being a clerical mistake. So the next day, on September 29th, he was declared missing. 2 days later, a fisherman on Griffey Lake in Bloomington found the badly decomposed body of a male with binoculars tied around his neck. Unfortunately, this body was Joseph, and the initial autopsy listed the cause of death as drowning. 2 months later, the completed autopsy had a shocking determination for the cause and manner of death: suicide by drowning. Not only had his body been in the lake, he had apparently been weighted down with a backpack full of 66 pounds of rocks. This made no sense to Vivian. There was no indication he had been depressed or suicidal. Um, there weren't that many rocks available at Griffey Lake. Vivian tried to collect 66 pounds of rocks herself, and she couldn't even find enough. And in order for that to even work, it meant that Joseph would have needed to walk 45 minutes from his house, load up the backpack, and then walk the 45 minutes back, and then step off a bridge and into the water. And the thing is, Joseph was 5'7", and he easily could have stood on the bottom of the lake. So, honestly, this case makes no sense to the family. The police in Bloomington, they've closed the case. They're like, we're not doing it anymore. Like, as far as they are concerned, they solved the case. But the family is still skeptical, and I have to tell you, so am I. And that is what I have, the information. There is so much more information to this case, obviously. That is the quick overview of this case that I'm going to bring to you. I urge you to do your own investigating, but now let's talk about this case. So, I don't understand why they would think this body that had binoculars wrapped around his neck. And when they said that, I don't know if maybe like he had gone, I don't know, bird watching or something. I don't know what he would be doing. Just out in nature with binoculars. And whatever happened to him happened, and he just had it around his neck. Or it was used to strangle him. Obviously, that would be noted in the autopsy. But if you're asking me, I don't think the autopsy makes sense. So it just, when they said it was wrapped around his neck, it was kind of weird to me. I don't know. But, and then he has a backpack of 66 pounds of rocks. And I have said this in other videos where police say like the person has committed suicide. And it's always in like drowning or something. I'm going to be completely honest with you. People who have drowned and then lived, or we know that drowning is a painful way to go, there are easier ways to kill yourself. And I don't think that Joseph would have got a backpack. He has his plan. He's gonna drown himself at this lake, but he's gonna walk 45 minutes away from his house to get enough rocks to do this, hoping it's enough rocks to weigh him down. Walk the 45 minutes back, put the backpack on, or keep the backpack on, whatever, and then just jump off the bridge. That does not make sense to me. That does not seem like a reasonable way. It does not seem like a plan that someone who is really in a bad place would do. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't make sense. And then the weird text message, I'm leaving the country to protect you. Don't call. And he doesn't even have a passport. That was so clearly not Joseph texting his sister. So he did live, I believe he lived on campus. I could be wrong, but I know that he had roommates. And when I was doing this case, I immediately thought of the roommates. Because it's clearly someone who isn't aware that he does not have a passport. They clearly want to, they clearly want to buy some time, not shock or, scare Vivian, or make her worry, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And then they do this. I don't think it was an accident. I don't think it was suicide. I don't think that Joseph could have been so under the influence of something that he sent his sister a weird text. There was also a weird note found, by the way, in his room. I forgot to include that. That is, when you do your own investigating, you'll find a lot of information, one of which is that a note was found in his house. I believe it was actually found by his roommates. I could be wrong. And there was another weird note for Vivian that was signed by him and everything. And I just find it hard to believe that he was so under the influence of something that he could have done all this and then just killed himself. It does not make sense to me in any way whatsoever. I think it had to be foul play of some sort, and that is what my heart believes. But you guys, let me know what you guys think down below. Like always, I'd be really interested in knowing what you think happened to Joseph. Either way, it is incredibly heartbreaking. He clearly was having a much better go at life now that he was like on his own and could do what he wanted, and it's sad to see that that got taken away from him. And I just hope that something will happen and that they can reopen this case and properly investigate it. But like I said, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for listening to Joseph's story, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye, guys.